Today we're going to talk about high school credits and high school transcripts. First, you check your local homeschool laws. You want to check with HSLDA to see what your local homeschool laws and requirements are. Check your college. If you know what college that your high school student is considering, if you know what course of study they're considering, you want to check into that. This is the transcript form that we have in the cumulative record. The cumulative record, very inexpensive, $6.99 if you get it in the PDF format, which I highly recommend. You can print it out very easily. You can also write on it digitally. Good afternoon, parents of Masterbooks. I'm Rachel. Today we're going to talk about high school credits and high school transcripts. We've had several of you write in with your questions about high school credits and high school transcripts. So I want to talk to you about that, get you through a little bit of those. It's actually very easy. I think as parents, we bring this automatic fear when we hear high school and credits and transcripts in college, but it's really not that difficult. First two things that I'm going to always recommend is that first you check your local homeschool laws. You want to check with HSLDA to see what your local homeschool laws and requirements are. Most states, it will very plainly lay out what you're required to do. Some states have several requirements. Some states do not have a lot at all. But it will be plainly laid out with what's expected for you to do for the high school years. So HSLDA is a great place to check your local homeschool laws to see if you're given any specific courses, specific order of courses, certain number of hours that have to be accomplished. All kinds of different variables can come into that. So definitely know your local laws. Might help answer a lot of your questions and ease your mind about what's expected on a high school transcript. The second thing I'm going to suggest is check your college. If you know what college that your high school student is considering, if you know what course of study they're considering, you want to check into that. Even if they don't know exactly which college, if you could get just a few and get some ideas and then look into it and say, okay, this are the colleges that you're looking at. This is the course of study you're looking at. So this is what they're going to be expecting. So you may have to actually contact that college. It might not be plainly laid out on a website for you. You might actually have to call into an admissions office and ask for them to help you. Most colleges are very helpful when it comes to that. They're happy to talk with you. They want students, and so they're happy to help students and families with students and discuss what would be needed to enroll. Someone asked me, I'm going to look through the questions here in a minute, but someone asked about ACT and SAT prep and what to do and that type of thing. So yes, colleges are definitely looking at ACT scores and SAT scores. Whichever one you're going with. Most colleges are actually looking at that even more than they are necessarily the high school transcript. You do need both, but the ACT or SAT score is a very important factor into the admissions into college. Personally, someone asked me what I did personally with my children. I typically begin having them take it when they're in their 10th grade year. Not necessary. Junior and senior year is average. I like to give mine to my kids. Hi, Desiree. I like to give mine to in the 10th grade, after 10th grade, so in the summer between 10th and 11th, just as like a throwaway test, honestly. When you take the test, you are asked to put down a college or whatever, but you don't have to do that. So the first test that I let my kids take, it's just, let's just take it. Let's see how you do. Some local libraries will actually have that as a resource for you too, where they have like a practice test that you could take with them through the local library. So you might want to check into that. It might be a free resource that you have. I just have my kids do the real thing. I have them go in where they're having to undergo the entire test taking experience. all of the nervousness that comes with having to sit in there and have the moderator, the proctor of that test. And hey, Summer, so I like to give them that experience between 10th and 11th grade year. Again, just mine. You know what's best for your kids. So 10th through 11th grade in the summer between 10th and 11th is a throwaway test for mine. After that, I see several, hello. After that, we start studying more seriously. I have actually for mine, both of my girls that are now college students, we actually did hire a tutor. I did have them go through that because the tutor teaches them not necessarily course like subject information. It's more of test taking skills. So I did have both of mine have a tutor for that to help them be better test takers. But those tutors were specifically for ACT and SAT testing. So that's what I've done for those of you that asked, because I did get a few questions about that. Okay, so let's look at, I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see it well. This is the transcript form that we have in the cumulative record. The cumulative record, very inexpensive, $6.99 if you get it in the PDF format, which I highly recommend. You can print it out very easily. You can also write on it digitally. We've had some ask about how are you, and we have this cumulative record, but we want to work on it digitally. So you can, I looked into it, asked a few others, two popular things that are used to write on this digitally on the PDF of our cumulative record is Adobe Reader PDF markup tool. So Adobe Reader PDF markup tool. Then you can actually mark on the digital PDF that we have. Another one is Kami Chrome extension, and Kami is spelled Kami. So you might want to look into that. Those of you that want to have a digital transcript. Someone asked if I recommended one. I don't really know of any others. This is what I've used. So I don't really have one to recommend, but I would suggest using the Adobe Reader markup tool or Kami Chrome extension to actually write on the PDF digital cumulative record that we have, which is only $6.99. And that $6.99 cumulative record is not just for this transcript template. I mean, you're getting that for, preschool on all of the years, and other helps and tips and goals and things to meet through that cumulative record. So it's a great resource to have for you, not just for your high school student, but even for your younger students. And you can purchase that ebook once, you can print it off more than one time. Anyway, it's a good price. So looking back at this, with this transcript that we have, what I like a lot about this is that the way you're recording what they've completed, so I'll come in a little bit. So like math, and you can see it has grade or year right here. You're going to put the name of the course and then the grade they made and the credits earned. Well, I like this grade or year right here. I think it's good for homeschooling families because sometimes we start a course. We might start it in the middle of the year. We might start it in the summer. It might not necessarily be just that typical August to May where we can put in 9th grade year, 10th grade year. So I prefer to have it this way so that you can put in there you can put the year, so like 2020, this course was completed. They may have started it in 2018, but it was completed in 2020. And so I like this because it's more of, for me, I like to put in the year completed rather than the grade completed. So I'm not worried about figuring out where it fits in, and it doesn't have to say 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Okay. So once again, another question I know we had was, how do you determine what they take and when they take it, and how do you record it? Again, checking your local state laws will help you with that. You'll know exactly what they're supposed to take. Check with your local homeschool community as well. But typically, they're going to have 4 years of English. So you need to have an English 1, English 2, English 3, English 4, or maybe you want to call it English 9, English 10, English 11, English 12, whatever. But that's the typical. And don't think that you have to have sometimes we put more into it than we think. We have to have like this full explanation of what all was in the course and everything like that. And see others saying, hello. You don't have to have on the transcript a full explanation of what that course is. All you need is a course title. So your English 9 or Language Arts 9 or English 1 or Language Arts 1, however you're doing it. Again, check your laws to see if it gives anything specific. It might be a literature course. It might be your full language arts that's including all aspects of language arts. It could be our Jensen's grammar, where you're focusing just on the grammar, or maybe it's just our format writing where you're focusing on that. So if you want to put in the transcript English 9 and it's grammar for that year, and that's what you focused on was Jensen's grammar, you can put it in there as English 9 or English 1. But again, check your state laws first, see what your state requires. But you also may want to put it down as grammar, or maybe you're doing format writing and you do want to call it format writing. That's up to you within your state laws. So I'm going to keep saying that. So again, within your state laws. But you do have freedom of that. You don't have to give a full course explanation on your transcript. Colleges are not looking for this. Part of what I have done in my homeschool journey is I've been an administrator for a cover school. We have recently moved, and so I am just finishing up this school year, and I am completed with that. But I help families do their college entrance and do their transcripts for them and help them through the college entrance process. With that, we get transcripts. I've had transcripts that have been transferred to me from other schools, previous traditional schools. Those traditional school transcripts don't give any more information either. It is just course title, year it was completed, and the grade they made, and how many credits. So exactly what's on here. So don't make it more difficult where you think you have to give a full course description or anything like that. If your child is going into a very specific area of study with a college, you do want to check it out. See, they might be looking for very specific course titles on there. In that case, you do want to know. So that's why I said the first two things I suggested was, number one, check your state laws. Number two, check with your college to see what they're looking for. If they are looking for something specific, you want to make sure you are including that. Make sure your student has actually taken that, and then also make sure that you're including that with that specific course on the transcript, so that when the college sees it, it's very clear to them that that course has been taken. So that's when you would need to be considering those things, or not worry about them, because it's not something to worry about. You just need to be informed. It's really very easy. You just need to be informed. Okay, so again, your basic thing would be 4 language arts or 4 English credits, math, so math, language arts, history, science. Every state is different. Typical 4 for math, 4 for language arts. It may only be 3 for math. That may give you very specific average, things they would take would be algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2. If you have, I know we were asked, if you have a student who is not able to take those classes, they're a little bit behind, they're not able to take algebra 1 yet in 9th grade, again, check your state laws. You might be able to put pre-algebra on there and count that, but you want to know your state laws. You might need to, if you have a student that they're just not academically going to be able to complete those things, you might be able to put remedial language arts or remedial math, but you want to check your state laws and see what you're allowed to do and what allowances are given for those that can't quite do the work at the high school level. But again, I can't say, yeah, you can put this down as that without telling you want to check your state laws, because your state could be very specific on how you can record that as well. Electives over here. So what are electives? Anything other than the 4 core subjects. Electives could also be where your student already has what they need. Their needs are met for how many math, language arts, history, and science they need. So then the extra could become electives that they're doing. Electives would be like your Bible courses that you're doing, or any extra studies like logic that you're doing. Those would be your electives. Someone asked, how do we determine how many credits something is worth? Again, would be in your state laws. Most states are going to give you an amount of hours that they're looking for something to equal a credit. Also, when you go to your curriculum inside the teacher's guides or whatever, it's probably going to tell you how many credits something is worth. Typically, if something is only for 90 days, I know with masterbooks, if it's 90 days, it's going to be half a credit at the high school level because you're doing that half of your work, and then 180 days for that full year, 1 credit. But check your state laws. It may tell you specifically how many days that a course must be completed and how many hours a course must be and what that would equal. They may give you very specific allowances and requirements for what can count as electives. And there might be some things that surprise you. So definitely check that. So I can't reiterate it enough. I feel like I'm not much help other than saying check your state laws of what you can do. But once you're informed on those laws and what your college wants, it's very easy to fill this in here. So let me look here. I'm going to just look through some of the questions so I can answer those directly. So that was just a brief overview on the cumulative record that we have and what I could recommend to actually keep your transcripts. In the cumulative record, there's also a sample transcript that's already filled out. So that might help you a little bit also. Okay. Belize asked, I won't be able to tune in, but some of the books don't come with the course objectives goals written out. I know I can sit down and try and work them out myself, but needlessly to say, that would be very time-consuming and tiresome. I wanted to know if there is a way I can access objectives and goals for each of the courses without reinventing the wheel. So, again, maybe not necessarily needed to put on the transcript that the objectives and goals, but possibly you need this for your state and your state's requirements for reporting what you're doing for the year. So if we don't already have it in the front of our master books, curriculum, teacher's guide, or student book, I would suggest looking at the website, because on the website there's going to be a course description of every subject. So I would recommend starting there, and then not only just beside the picture where we have the course description, but even on the bottom there'll be tabs with extra information about the course. I would start there for getting course description. There's nothing that we can send to you extra. We don't have a file with more information. It would just be what's in the front of the book and the course descriptions on the product pages. Giraf's mama asked, my daughter is looking into marine mammal trainer and wildlife rehabilitation as possible career choices. What courses would better help her to pursue these things? Again, you want to check with colleges that are that becomes a course of study, or contact someone that already is a marine mammal trainer or wildlife rehabilitation. Find one of those centers in your area, call them, see if you could actually visit there, ask them some questions, and they'll be helpful. I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. But once you find out what recommendations those people actually give to you, you could write into us and say, these topics are things good that they said to study, and then we could help suggest a course for you based on what they said would be good to study. But I personally don't know. I would, if my children were looking, I would again just check those, find someone that is in that study or colleges and ask them. Okay. Abby S. asked any recommendations for a transcript template maker. And again, she said she has a cumulative record but can't figure out how to type on the transcript. So I hope you saw that, Abby, where you can use the Adobe Reader PDF markup, or you can use Cami Chrome extension to actually write on our PDF that we have. I don't know of any other transcripts to use, but we do have that one. And then, let's see. E.C. Smith 98, how do you keep grades and records for those courses like PE or art? All right. Grades and records. Again, check your state law because they might be very specific of what they expect you to keep for grades and records. But for PE and art, it should be listed for you in your state of what's required. I don't want to, I know that we did in our state of what we had to do or not, what we were allowed to count. And so just check that. And then as far as keeping a record of it, you just want to write it on the transcript under the electives. If they're doing it for a full year, you want to check how many hours are required for it to be a full year credit. And then you want to make sure that your child is doing those things for PE. There are lots of things that can count for PE. So think about your PE class that you did when you were in school, and there were lots of different activities, different ways to approach it. So definitely want to check your state laws and see what's required and how many hours are required if they have any specific topics that have to be covered. But then you would just put it in electives on the transcript, the year it was completed, elective, based on the hours that you completed, whether it's 1 credit or a half a credit. I see someone's asking, if we order the cumulative record, not the digital version, does it cover just 1 year or all 12 grades? Cumulative record covers all 12 grades. So it's preschool through. So you're going to have all kinds of helps and tips and ways to keep record and questions and prompts. I love the record keeper, but anyway, yeah, all the way through. Okay, let's see. Next question. Do I need to grade every assignment for high school or just quizzes and tests to get a final grade for a course? I kind of talked about this one last week, but I would say that's up to you on whether you're grading every assignment or just quizzes and tests. When you're in a classroom as a teacher, the teacher decides what she's grading and not grading. So now you are the teacher and you're deciding. I personally do like to grade my children's daily work as well. I'll give them just a daily grade rather than just quizzes and tests because I just feel it's more fair. So they do get a daily grade rather than just quizzes and tests because not every student does well in that test taking situation. So for mine, on the masterbooks schedule, at the end of on the day, it gives day 1, and then the blank, I put what day it was completed, and then I'll put there how many they got correct. So if there were 15 questions and they got 14 out of 15 correct, I'll put that there, 14 over 15, to let me know they got 14 out of 15. My youngest son, my kids actually, I've got them now at the ages they are, they actually grade their daily work themselves. So my youngest son actually tells me after everything, Mom, I got this many out of this many. So all day long, I'm hearing that from him of what he got correct, but completely up to you. Now, on a transcript, most colleges are looking for an actual grade. So you do want to have a number grade that you're putting on a transcript for that. Melanie up here asks, are you supposed to be keeping grades every year? Looks like 3rd grade, you don't really need to. You want to check your state if it tells you you have to keep grades every year. Now, I'm primarily talking about high school transcripts and high school grades right now. And so once you reach that level, you do want to keep grades. Some states will allow your student to earn grades at the 8th grade year, which I think someone asked about that. Will allow them to earn credits in the 8th grade year. So I suggest junior high level start keeping more of a grade record and credit record of what they're doing, but you want to check your state laws and see what they require for you. Okay. Next question. I'm sorry, I'm kind of read through those. All right. Amanda asks, I have an upcoming 9th grader and wonder about testing, grading, keeping track of progress. How do you draft transcripts for college entry? So yeah, this is what we're talking about. This cumulative record is the way you draft. So this is totally blank, but I'll pull up this one. This is one that's filled in, the sample we have that's filled in, so you can see more of an idea of what that looks like. in the 8th grade year, if you're allowed to, if your student is taking high school level courses, you want to go ahead and start filling that in some type of transcript template. Again, I recommend our cumulative record. There are others out there, but I recommend this one. And you just want to fill it into whichever, this is really made easy. Whatever subject it falls under, you just want to go ahead and fill that in. For that year, you want to put the year it was completed, their final average, and how many credits it was worth. And you just want to start filling this in right away. I know one time I actually keep the schedule at the end of the year. I keep the schedule of the books, and I keep some tests and things like that. And I have a folder for each child. But one of mine, I had to go back and actually pull out all of those folders because I had left something off. I didn't fill it all in, and I knew that they had something, but thankfully I had that to help me go back and look through. But it's definitely much easier as soon as they're starting a course, just write it down on a template and go from there. Even if it's not finished, just go ahead and write down what they're doing this year. If they are a high school student this year and you haven't started, you want to get some type of transcript template, and you want to go ahead now and write down the courses that they are taking. Then at the end of the year, when they've completed that course, you want to write in the final average, the credit earned, and the year it was completed. Because if you wait till their senior year, it's very likely that you're going to forget something. So you want to make sure you're starting now. So that's just how you would do it. It's actually not very difficult. Okay, let's see. Going through questions again. Okay. Michelle Rice asked, I'd like to have guidance on where to start, right path initially for continued education in college, credits, challenging tests, and grading for high school, extracurricular, etc. So hopefully I've kind of gone over that. But yeah, check your state laws. It'll give you very plainly what is required of you, and you just want to start right there. And you also, those are the first two things I said in the video: check your state laws and check the colleges that she's looking into and see what the requirements are. And that's where you want to start. And you just want to kind of lay it out. If you need to lay out a schedule, you want to kind of have a plan of this is our 4-year plan, and we're going to take these credits each year. If they have to have 3 math, you want to determine when you're doing that. Probably 4 language arts, and it really varies, but anyway, by state, you want to make sure those core subjects are taken care of. And then however many electives they have to have, you want to divide that by the amount of years you have left and make sure you're covering that amount of electives each year. So you need to have a plan of what you're doing when you're doing that. I see here, I'm late, but did you already answer the question about if American history combined with American literature gives 3 credits instead of just 2? I did see this I didn't notice it on the ones I have now, but I did see that question on one of the high school groups. Okay, our new and revised American history combined with American literature is not 3 credits. The older version of American history combined with the American literature is 3 credits. The older version combined would have given you 1 credit in history, 1 credit in composition, and then 1 credit in literature to equal the 3 credits. Now with our revised history, it's 1 credit in history and then just 1 credit in literature. All of that writing component is not included in there now. That's all an optional thing that you can do, but it's not like it was before. So it is not including that full writing component anymore. So hopefully that answers it for you. Creation 58. I think I've gotten all of y'all's. Last week I totally forgot to, I thought I could come back and look at these later, and then I realized I could not do that. So I'm trying to be deliberate about answering those today. Okay. Hopefully I answered Michelle's question well. Okay, Jess Skillenwater asked, I hope I said that right. I'm not sure, Jess. If your student is already doing subjects that are high school credits, can you start counting those? Some states yes, and some states no. So check your state. My students were able to earn credits in the 8th grade year. So we did, but it was specific. Like, it couldn't be just anything. It was like, it could be a foreign language, or if they were doing an early math or an early science. So we had, you want to check. Just check to see what your state is allowing or not allowing. And if they're doing a high school level course, then yes, they could get high school credit for that if your state allows it. Okay. Barbara D, how can you do high school with a special needs student, such as counting credits, when they're not at high school curriculum level? And so, again, we talked about that a little bit. Check your state laws. You may be able to put it in as remedial. There might be some, you want to know what the allowances are, because they do have some, because they have those students in traditional schools. So there are allowances made. You just need to do a little bit of investigating and find out what those are, because you can definitely do it, and there will be a way to record it, but that's going to vary by state, and you want to know what allowances they allow for you. Okay. I see some questions very specifically about courses. Like, I'm going to actually come to those next week, so I'm just going to try to focus on transcripts today and see what we get. Okay, that looks like I've covered most of them on transcripts, so I'm just going to do a brief thing again. I think we make it more difficult than we have to, but number one, check your local state laws for what's required. Number two, check with your colleges that your student is interested in and see what they are looking for. You should not, most colleges are not looking for a full description of a course. You're just wanting a course title. So when your student completes Algebra 1, or while they're doing Algebra 1, take a transcript template, write Algebra 1 in there, and then the year that it will be completed, what their final average was, and how many credits they earned. Check your credits with your state. Do they have specific hours that have to be completed? Is it just what the curriculum says? Does it have to be so many days? Check your state and see what it says. How they're registering what equals a full credit or a half a credit. So just as your student is completing as they're working on courses that would count high school level courses, you just want to start filling it into a transcript template. Then when it's time to submit this to college, I think that's what makes everyone so nervous about it. Colleges are actually not difficult to work with when you work with the admissions department. They want students, and they are actually typically very helpful and very friendly with working with you as a parent on doing this. As long as you have a good transcript template that it's clear to see each core subject, what your child has earned, what the course titles are, what their grade is, and how many credits they've earned, and you've got that clearly presented to them, that's what they're looking for. Again, we've talked about it, but they might be looking for something specific if your child's going into a specific area of study. So you want to make sure your student has taken that. That's when you want to contact them before. But as far as actually turning it into them, they're going to be very helpful with what they need and giving you feedback on what you're giving to them. But I have used this exact template many, many times to help many high school graduates with college entrance. This is the same one I've used. We haven't had any issues. I've used this with masterbook students and with non-masterbook students. This is the format I've used for years. There have not been any issues with college entrance exams college entrance using this template. I mentioned exams because they're also going to want your students' ACT or SAT scores, and that's going to be a heavy part of their acceptance of your student. But this is a good and clear transcript of what a college is going to be looking for. They're not looking for a whole lot of explanation of each course. They're not looking for a course description. Usually, if they are, they will come back to you and say, can you explain this course? I've rarely had that happen, and it's only been when it's been a very specific career choice that had a lot of requirements beforehand. I see E. Smith, did you do separate course descriptions for courses on the transcript? Okay, so that's what I was just saying. I'm sorry, I didn't even see your question. I was talking about it. No, I did not do course descriptions on a transcript. I didn't do that for my students, my personal children. I have not done that for other students unless the college specifically asked. And again, that was usually for something that was a very detailed type of course of study that they were entering that had a lot of prerequisites for them to do. Okay, for record keeping, do you recommend keeping tests and or quizzes for all 4 years? I personally I have like a folder for each one of my children, and inside that folder it has more folders, different tabs, and in there I keep the schedule. So I'm talking about masterbooks. All of my children are using primarily masterbooks. Same for my 2 that graduated. So for my children, I've kept the schedule that's in the front of the teacher's guide. I kept that because it plainly lays out exactly what was completed every day. I have on there the date written in for when that daily lesson was completed, and I have the daily grade. So that's very clear, explaining exactly what was covered. So I keep that schedule. And then I'll also keep a few quizzes and tests, like in the younger years, I kept like the quarterly reviews and that type of thing. And then in high school, I mostly kept tests, not necessarily every quiz. And I have kept those through their entire high school career. HSLDA also recommends keeping some type of record for so many years, but you just want to check. Your state may say, we need to see this many records, but I personally have kept something for my children. Let's see, it looks like that might be all of the questions on transcripts. I feel like I haven't really given very much information. Okay, the only real exception I've run into for the course descriptions is with NCAA scholarship applications, and that's possible. Yes, I agree, you want to just check what's being required of you for what you're doing. And so at that point, that's a scholarship application. So yeah, when you're applying for scholarships, you might have more required from you. But as far as the college entrance, I have not had to do course descriptions, but I agree, we have had to do that for scholarship applications, or if you're trying to get your student into like an honor society or something like that, they're going to want to see some course descriptions that they've done, courses that they're looking for. So I do agree with that, Summer. Thank you. Anyway, I feel like that's it. Our cumulative record plainly lays it out. Example transcript right here. If you do have any specific questions about a course or what could fall, like your state has a requirement for this type of course and you want to know what could fall under that, you want to see if your state gives an explanation of what that course must cover. But you're definitely welcome to write into us at Masterbooks. Use the contact us button on the website and contact customer service and write in and say, I'm required to take, my student is required to have this type of course. Do you have anything that could fall under that? And we could help give you some suggestions of courses that would fall under that. Or if you're taking a course and you want to know some suggestions of what that could be called on a transcript, you're definitely welcome to write into us, and we can help you know what some other families have used and how other families have recorded that on a transcript. So you could definitely write into us if you are having trouble and you don't know how to record it on a transcript. But basically, very simple. We make it more difficult. Just as your student begins taking classes, write the class name down, and then at the end, write the year it was completed, their final average, and how many credits it earned. Check your state laws, check their colleges and see if there's any specific requirements that you're looking for. I hope this has been helpful. I kind of feel like I've just rambled today. I'm not sure trying to answer all your questions, but hopefully it's been helpful. Don't hesitate to ask others if you have them, and I look forward to talking to you again. Bye.